Welcome to the November 18, 2020 special board meeting. Special board meeting of the Chino Valley District Board of Directors. The time is 6 p.m. This is President Harvey Luke, and we will now begin the meeting. Please be advised that this meeting will be recorded. Please silence your cell phones and devices to reduce background noise or disruption. In accordance with the California Governor's Executive Order N-29-20, guidance for the California Department of Public Health, and in an effort to combat the spread of COVID-19, the Chino Valley Fire District will hold all regular and special meetings of the Board of Directors remotely in a hybrid format until further notice. Board members may be present in the boardroom and will accommodate physical attendance by the public. The public may join the meeting real time in listen-only mode. Instructions and the GoToWebinar URL link for the meeting are listed on the agenda. Our agenda is posted on our website at cbifd.org. Please be advised that when you join the meeting real time, your screen name will appear on the GoToWebinar screen. The board will accept public comment on all items on the agenda under public communications. Instructions for participating in public comment are listed on the agenda and on the Fire District website. The public had three options for participating in public comment. One option for participating in public comment was to submit comments to the clerk of the board by email at clerk@chofire.org prior to the beginning of the meeting. Comments received by email will be read real time by the clerk of the board during the specified time. The emails are limited to 300 words. Please note that your name will be read into the record. The second option for participating in public comment real time was to register prior to the meeting at the GoToWebinar URL listed on this agenda. If you have registered for public comment, the clerk of the board will call on you and unmute your microphone when it's your turn to speak. Attendees may also need to unmute their own devices to be heard. The third option is for the public to attend the board meeting and submit a request to speak form to the clerk of the board or designee. When your name is called, begin the public comment by stating your name and address, which is optional for the record. Comments must be limited to 5 minutes. For recorded viewing of the board meeting, you may access the Fire District website the day following the meeting at cbifd.org and click on Video Archive. I will now open the meeting and take roll. Please answer when I call your name. Director Wynn Williams.
Here.
Director Mike Krieger.
Here.
Director John DeMonico.
Present.
Vice President Sarah Ramos-Evinger.
Present.
And myself, President Harvey Luke. I would like to remind everyone joining remotely to please mute your phone until it's your time to speak to cut down any background noise. And now we'll have the flag salute. If you would join us in the flag salute and then remain standing for the invocation, please. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now Robert Lewis, Fire District Chaplain, is joining us to present the invocation. Chaplain?
I'm here. Would you please bow your heads and pray with me? Heavenly Father, we do thank you for this opportunity to pray. We ask for your clarity and direction for the board members. They will support one another so they can make the decisions that are best for the citizens they serve. May the errors be few and always on the side of caution. Just brief word, Lord, we ask for your help and attention to what is going on in our country and the world. This pandemic, COVID-19 virus, we know you are not surprised that it's here around the world. So we pray you would please help us take presence and power seriously. I know that this is not a toy, it's not a game that we can flirt with, but it is serious and we need your divine help. We pray that you would give strength and emotional healing to those who are and have been infected. We pray for the families who've lost loved ones. We direct our hearts, Lord, and our minds that we who are developing, or those who are developing the cure, will be able to do so in a way that it will be effective. Give your touch to it, Lord, because we know nothing will work without your will. And we pray, Lord, that you'd bless each one who is on the line tonight, that you would touch their families and give them the kind of confidence and security they need to keep going on, to working and doing the job they've been hired to do. May the blessings you give us all be shared with one another. Have our time to be given from the heart. Help us to live in love as you would have us to do so. Give us your blessing, Father. Help us to stand strong in the faith that you've given us through Jesus Christ, our Lord, in whose name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Lewis.
You're welcome.
All right, next we have changes to the agenda. Clerk of the board, do we have any changes to the agenda?
Good evening. We have no changes to the agenda.
Thank you. Next we have presentations and announcements, and we have employee service awards. This evening, we would like to recognize 2 service award recipients who respectively have 5 and 15 years of service with the fire district. We regret that due to the current COVID-19 pandemic, we are not able to invite the award recipients to our meeting for a formal recognition. However, we have invited them and their families to join us today remotely and hear their very well-deserved recognition for their service to Chino Valley Fire District and the communities we serve. We appreciate the dedication and commitment of each employee being recognized tonight. First, we have Facilities Coordinator Steve Burns, 5 years. Steve Burns began his career with the Fire District on November 23, 2015. He supports our Deputy Chief of Support Services. Thank you, Steve, for 5 years of service to the Fire District. Next, we have Auxiliary Worker Daniel Turan, 15 years. Daniel Turan began his career on November 28, 2005. He also supports our Deputy Chief of Support Services. Thank you, Daniel, for 15 years of service to the Fire District. Although the Board of Directors were not able to personally recognize you for your service tonight, we would like to acknowledge each one of you and thank you for your commitment to serving the Chino Valley community. In the next week, service pins and awards will be delivered to you representing the corresponding years of service. Again, on behalf of the Board of Directors and the Fire District, thank you for your service. Next, we have Accessory Dwelling Unit, ADU, Overview, Fire Marshal Daniel Barnes. Fire Marshal Daniel Barnes will now present an overview on accessory dwelling units.
Good evening, President Luce and members of the board. I understand each of you have been provided a hard copy of the PowerPoint presentation, and there are copies available on the back counter for any public present. Thank you for allowing me to present on the subject of accessory dwelling units, or more commonly referred to as ADUs. This evening, we will cover what an ADU is and the governing rights related to them. Next slide, please. ADUs are small, independent dwelling units located on the same lot as a residential property. These can either be attached or detached. ADUs have also been known by names such as granny flats, in-law units, backyard cottages, and secondary units. Chino, Chino Hills, and San Bernardino County's community development departments have had code requirements in place regarding these types of structures. Next slide, please. The Planning and Zoning Law provides governing rights to both cities and counties relating to development. These rights, as they relate to ADUs, include specific standards such as where ADUs can be built, the design standards of the unit, parking requirements, lot density, and associated fees. The standards are adopted by ordinance by each respective governing agency. Next slide, please. In 2016, the California State Legislature enacted Senate Bill 1069 and Assembly Bill 2299. These bills were designed to encourage the development of ADUs and place restrictions on local ordinances. They also introduced the formal name of ADU. To further encourage the development of ADUs, 6 additional bills were passed in 2019. These new bills either revised existing requirements or introduced new ones. Revisions included items related to parking, utility connections, and development impact fees. New requirements included such things as a junior accessory dwelling unit, timeframes regarding the application process. It established a 5-year timeframe for prohibiting a condition on the permit to require owner occupancy of the main house or the ADU. It also established a 5-year timeframe for existing and new ADUs that receive a correction notice, allowing them to defer abatement for up to 5 years, as long as the violations noted are not tied to protecting health and safety. Next slide, please. Although the district does participate in local development and/or planning review meetings for new development, ADUs are not subject to this type of discretionary review. The district reviews applications for construction of new ADUs and conditions them for fire sprinklers when applicable. Our primary concerns and requirements relate to access and water supply, which are typically pre-existing conditions. Next slide, please. This concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do any board members have any questions or comments?
I do have some questions, please. Are we getting very many requests to put in these ADUs at this time, or are you seeing much activity in regard to it?
So I have reached out to both of our city building departments, and since 2019, they've seen a huge increase. And by huge, they've roughly processed anywhere from 15 to 20 applications, which obviously we process as well.
Thank you.
I just know it's a huge concern that it's kind of outside of local government's control now, and it's a huge concern. So thank you for your presentation and updating us on the fire district's responsibilities here.
Director Delmonico, anything?
No questions.
Thank you. Vice President Ramos Evinger? Take that as a no. If you really
No question.
Thank you. We got it. Thank you. That was a nice overview, particularly as it relates to the district. If you really want to learn more about these for the public, go to Chino Hill's and website and look at the last council meeting. Watch that. They had a great presentation. It was very well done. A lot of good information, a lot of good questions, and it was very informative. So anyone who has additional questions, I would encourage you to go and watch that presentation. Well, thank you. Public communications. This is the time and place for the general public to address the board of directors about subjects that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. The public may address items on the agenda at the time addressed by the board. Due to the board policy and Brown Act requirements, action may not be taken on any issue not on the agenda. When you address the board, please state your name and address, which is optional, prior to making your remarks. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. I have one request to speak from Steve Eli.
Thank you, Mr. President. Steve Eli, I live on Estoril Street in Chino Hills. Congratulations to those who were successful in the recent election. Appreciate your service and that your willingness to continue to serve our community. I just really wanted to come down today and say thank you from the top to the bottom for the Blue Ridge Fire response. While there are always things that can be worked on, and I know the chief and staff will be looking for feedback from the community and the other public service, the response was just outstanding. The information was great. The saving of every structure, again, in 2008, I was living in Milano, and we had the fire came right up to the boundary of the property, if you will. And this year, I live in Villa Borba now, and the same result. Quality, we have the best, and it shows. And people, our community is behind this fire district 100%, and we know that you're with us too. And I wish Jeff and Pete could have stayed, but they had to go work because you heard the sirens that they left. But thank you from the bottom of this resident's heart for all the hard work and service, and to the fire marshal for clearing the weeds just the meeting before, literally, and all those things, all these different pieces of the puzzle, the things that the public doesn't see, all worked and preserved our property and lives in this community. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else present wish to address during public comments? Clerk of the board, do we have any requests to speak?
We have no additional requests to speak.
All right, thank you. Next, we have liaison reports of the fire district. Clerk of the board, do we have any liaison speaking?
Yes, Mayor Art Bennett, City of Chino Hills.
Thank you, board and executive staff. We really appreciate this opportunity. First and foremost, yes, I want to congratulate the 3 members that were reelected. It was wonderful. I'm just very, very happy to see that leadership continue here. That's very important. As Steve mentioned, the Blue Ridge Fire, we can't say enough on behalf of all of the residents that you guys saved their properties. There was no injuries within the city limits of Chino Hills. I was able to go out a couple days afterwards and survey how close that got to a lot of the residents. And believe me, the work you did was absolutely unbelievable. So my thanks to this fire district and also Cal Fire, who was kind of overseeing the entire project. But it's amazing the things you continue to do. You do what you do in the best way, and the people of Chino Hills are they benefit from all that you do. I also wanted to give thanks to the board, as we saw in the newspapers within the last 30 days, we finally came to an agreement on the approval of the location of the next fire station at Soap Canyon and Pipeline, which ironically had the fire coming up over the ridge right there at that property. And we had to ensure the paper that was in fact coincidental. It's not something we had anything to do with or any control of. I will comment real quickly on the ADUs, and I'm glad, Harvey, that you mentioned the fact that if you want to see all of the details, these ADUs, these are things that are being forced on us by the legislature at the state level. We have a housing crisis in the state of California. We have what's called, well, it just went right out of my head. It's the housing needs assessment that's done each year, and we're being told that we have to build homes that are affordable within the city. And as you know, we are blessed in City of Chino Hills in that we have some high median incomes, and we have some very expensive real estate. So there isn't really as much, well, there is absolutely no low to moderate income housing that's really available. But the state keeps pushing this on us, and these ADUs, we have a concern. We talked about this when we were going through the negotiations on the fire station placement. The existing stations and that, if we put in a bunch of new ADUs, you have coverage as far as, yeah, you have locations of stations close to where these residents are, where now they have a second dwelling. But what about your staffing? That's a concern for us, and we've made provisions for in the future of something, if it happens a lot, and we have a lot of these, that we'll address that. So far, we have not really had much. I think what Ms. Barnes is talking about is Chino has larger lots, and where there's larger lots, there's more opportunities for these granting flats. We have a lot of smaller lots in Chino Hills, so I don't think that the opportunity for those will be quite as intense as maybe some of the other areas. And with that, I'll run through real quickly a couple of the things that are coming up. I won't bore you, and I should say bore. I won't inform you of the COVID numbers because you see them every day in the paper. Bottom line is that's changing daily. We know what the state is doing now when they're pulling us back. It's going to have dramatic effects on everybody as we go into this holiday season. So, wear the mask, wash your hands, stay socially distant, and try and keep, as much as you want to get together as large family groups for Thanksgiving and that, rethink it, because you just really don't know who your family members have been exposed to. And continue to do the testing. We had another one in town actually earlier today. If you want to, you can go onto the county health site, and it will show you we have sites all over San Bernardino County. On this end, you can get them in Chino, you can get them at the Ontario parking lot, the convention center. I've been there, I was there a week ago Monday and got luckily another negative testing. So you've got to do that. But as the testing happens, then the numbers come up. We don't know how many people have been infected until they get tested and find out that they're positive. So it's kind of a dual-edged sword there. So again, that's somewhat about the COVID and about the testing. Operations updates in response to COVID-19. The volleyball court at English Springs is back in service, and nets have been ordered for the other parts. That was a report I made a week ago at our city council meeting. That may be changing only because of the new closures being announced. Closures of the community center are still in effect right now until the end of next week, November 27th. Basketball courts are still closed. Veterans Day, we had a fantastic fun. The facilities were closed, but we had the drive-through Veterans Day breakfast sponsored by Chick-fil-A. And for anyone that is out there as a veteran that might be listening to this meeting tonight, thank you so much. You're owed a debt of gratitude for all that you've done selflessly to protect all of the things that we appreciate. Blood drives every Tuesday, continuing through the end of the year. Will be at the Government Center, Peyton Drive parking lot from 1 to 6. Donors are required to wear face masks. Appointments are recommended, or visit lstream.org. Check out virtual rec on chinohills.org/virtual recreation. We're going to have a Thanksgiving tablescape decorating contest. Submit photos November 19th through the 29th. Winners will be announced on November 30th and will receive a $25 gift card to Hobby Lobby. Photo contest entries are due in a couple days, November 20th. For all of the contest details, look up chinohills.org/photo contest. 3 categories will be hometown pride, outdoors, pets, and the great prizes from $50 for third place up to $250 for a grand prize winner. Entries must be submitted online. Winter 2021 Recreation Guide and City News has been delivered to the public last week. All the activities and virtual contests are also mentioned in there. Our drive-through trick or treat was a huge success with 500 people going through. We're following that with a drive-through display called McCoy Holiday Lights on 4 Saturdays in December. Reserve a time slot, only open to Chino Hills residents. And this is in lieu of our annual boat parade, which people are going to miss. People always say, wait, a boat parade in Chino Hills? You know, where's your body of water? It's called Peyton. And hopefully it doesn't fill with water too often. So, activities that include pickup kits and virtual visits from Santa are coming up. Gingerbread house decorating contest, hot chocolate and story time with Santa on December 8th. Holiday home decorating deadline is December 11th. Letters to Santa, we're still processing those. And we have active adults 50 plus Christmas luncheon will be a drive-through event on December 10th. And with all of that, I want to wish all of you a very, very happy Thanksgiving. And we appreciate the fact that you postponed this meeting in line with Veterans Day to give reverence to that day. So we appreciate that very much. So as always, thank you very much. And most of you know I had I think 3 days after the last meeting, I had a visit from your folks. I had a TIA, a minor stroke, and so far, you know, other than the twitches and everything, there's no permanent damage. But at any rate, just, you know, love you guys. And Jeff was here, and he was there as well. And thank you guys. You're just fantastic. You're everything to me, and love you. And thank you for all that you do for all of us. And let's pray that the weather stays with us and that we don't have bad winds and we don't have any more fires. So thank you very much for your opportunity to speak. Take care.
Thank you, Mayor Bennett, and congratulations to you too.
Thank you.
And any other liaison?
Yes, we have Chair Charlie Blank, Fire Safe Council.
You know, they've already taken half of my speech, so congratulations, Harvey and Sarah and John. All right, but I really, you know, I mean it. I think the collegiality between the 5 of you is great, and it means a lot to the community. But I'm really here to congratulate Chief Shackelford and his staff for coming to the Carbon Canyon Fire Safe Council and, you know, giving a terrific report on the response and making sure everybody understood how they fought it and everything else. And the best part about it was, I have to say, that Chief, you and the other people who came acted very professionally in the face of some rather rude people, if you ask me. All right? And of course, it's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. But some of the questions were pretty pointed. And could only roll my eyes on the Zoom meeting because, you know, it's one thing to ask for things and information. It's another thing to kind of tell both Sem's group and also the people from Brea who were involved that they weren't doing a very good job. And, you know, I can honestly say that I think they do a terrific job. They certainly saved the southern part of the city, no question. I mean, I've seen the photographs. If I were living in those homes, I'd have been scared out of my wits. But just, you know, the way they handle themselves professionally, and the paramedics do a terrific job. By the way, I have Pulse, so I know what's going on in the city. But, you know, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, the Fire Safety Council appreciates you, and it does take you know, it takes time out of your day to come and sit and give a report to an organization like ours. And I want to thank you guys. I want to thank everybody. And just like Art, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving with your 2 or 3 people that are coming over.
Thank you, Charlie.
Well,
Thank you, Charlie.
You're welcome. Any other speakers?
Well, we have Director Steve Eli with us. However, he will not be reporting under liaisons. So that concludes our liaison report.
Okay, and I'm going to go back to public communications. I understand we have a speaker, Roman Nava.
Robin, this is Sandra. If you can unmute yourself, we will unmute you on this end.
I think does everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. Good evening, everyone. This is Roman Nava, Chino Hills resident. I do appreciate the opportunity to talk on this platform. I just do want to take a moment as president of the Los Serranos Ranch Homeowners Association to thank the amazing work that the department did during the Blue Ridge fire. You know, we were evacuated, of course, at 5 a.m. and I was given a heads up about Councilman Jose that was going to be occurring. And it is nerve-wracking. This is the second time that our development has been evacuated in 12 years. And I just want to thank everyone. I know that the residents in our development had indicated to me, what could we do as residents to thank the department? And so through our social media platform that we have here in our community, the Facebook page that we have, I did make a quick pitch to the Chino Valley Fire Foundation and sent that link to our residents to let them know that that's an opportunity that they could, you know, say thank you. And so we, I hope that this coming holidays, our residents will be able to do that part. We've also, in our HOA board, created a banner. We had a banner that's being printed right now. And we're hoping to take a photo of many residents in front of it. And I did work with Director Krieger in hopes of maybe trying to obtain the departments that were involved in defending our development. I know that on the night that I returned from the DoubleTree Hotel that the American Red Cross provided to us, a fire department from the Santa Cruz or Santa Barbara area, Carpinteria, they were on standby at our gates. And so I do know of that one. I also know of Station 67 that was at the top of Misty Hill defending, as well as other departments. And I would like to see if we can if I could attain a list so that I could maybe contact their PIOs and send them that photo and as a thank you from our community to them. So I'm hoping to get that list of departments that were in defense of our development. And also I would like to congratulate all 3 of the board members who were on the recent ballot. Congratulations. Looking forward to another 4 years of your leadership in our community. And as well as happy Thanksgiving and stay safe to all. And those are my comments. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Roman. All right, then we will, next we have the consent calendar. Clerk report, do we have any public comments on the consent calendar? Young?
We have no comments on the consent calendar.
Okay, thank you. If any board member wishes to pull an item from the consent calendar for discussion, please state your name and the item number you wish to pull.
Wayne Williams, I'd like to pull number 9, please.
Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay. At this time, I'd like to request a motion on items 1 through 8. Please state your name before you make your motion.
Mike Krieger, so moved.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All right. I have a motion by Director Krieger, a second by Director Williams. I will now call for a roll call voice vote. Director Williams.
I vote yes.
Director Krieger.
Yes.
Director DeMonico.
Yes.
Vice President Ramos Evinger. Are you there? Sarah.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. I and myself, President Harvey Luce.
Harvey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. All right, so that item carries 5-0. Item number 9, Director Williams.
Yeah, I'm just wanting to see what this is about again. I can't remember what it involves and what it is. Could somebody please inform me about what that is again, please, as far as this?
I believe, Steve, you could probably best address it.
Yes, thank you. The annual appropriations limit is required by California State Constitution, and it establishes the upper limit for annual appropriations or expenditures. And so we are legally required to perform this calculation each year. And as the numbers clearly illustrate in the calculation and in the proposed resolution, we're nowhere close to the upper limit prescribed in that calculation, but nevertheless, we are required to go through the annual exercise of comparing the appropriations limit essentially to our annual budget. And this is also required by statute to be audited annually. So we're a year in arrears on that with regard to the 2021 calculation that you have in front of you this evening. That will be subject to our annual audit next year. When the auditors come next month in December to present on the annual audit, they'll actually be touching base on the appropriations limit we provided last year. So it is subject as well to annual audit with the auditors to ensure that we've completed the calculation in accordance with the constitutional standards.
If I can ask a question, do you know why they require this?
Yeah, so it's required as a sort of a benchmark in terms of the upper limit of appropriations that agencies can expend. So I think the standard here is to create a check and balance at the state level to ensure that if local governments were to have a large infusion of revenue for whatever reason, that they wouldn't automatically go out and spend a huge increase in revenues because it would be limited by the mechanics of the calculation. So in our case, we're, of course, fiscally prudent. We've never been anywhere close to that annual limit, but in theory, there could be organizations that could have huge increases in annual budget for whatever reason. They would still be then subject to the mechanics of the calculation.
I'm not trying to belabor this, but have you seen where an entity has actually gone over or needed to go over, and what does that entail then if they get up there and something happens where they do go over or they need to go over or something to that effect?
In my experience, I'm not aware of any organization that has, and I think I could just respond by saying with regard to the district, everything is in appropriate order and we're nowhere close to the limit. So,
When you make that kind of a calculation, what keeps an entity like Chino Fire from just saying, we'll make it $1 billion, we'll never come to that, and just let it go?
well, because there are the mechanics of the calculation that are prescribed by the Constitution, and then for each organization, it's subject to annual audit. So there's virtually no ability, I think, if you're referencing the ability to manipulate those calculations, because of the standards of the state and because of the annual audit requirements, that won't happen.
So they have to have some meaning when they come up with a figure. Is that?
Yes, there are formulas that are prescribed, and as you'll see next month when we present the audit that validates the numbers from 1920, there are specific what we call attestation standards that the auditors need to indicate that they reviewed this legislative requirement and recalculated the amount and found that there were no errors or exceptions in the calculation. So they have to go through specific requirements and indicate we observed the standard, we double checked it to ensure the calculation was done appropriately, and we agree to that. So it's pretty well controlled.
Okay. I mean, the things that you do and everything are just amazing to me. I just can't figure out how some of this stuff comes about, and I'm just trying to get a halfway understanding of these things. I mean, I know in my day-to-day life, I have to, live within a certain budget, and I have so much money and stuff like that. And there's so many things that you deal with, and I just, it's just like brain surgery or something to me sometimes. And so I'm just trying to get a little bit of an understanding. That's all I'm talking about here. So I don't mean to be grilling you or anything like that. So thank you very much, and appreciate your bearing with me on this.
You're welcome.
All right. Do you wish to move the item, or?
Oh, yes, I've had a understanding, I've been told what it is and whatnot, and I appreciate it, and I'm ready to go move forward with it.
All right, so I'll take that as a motion from Director Williams. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Motion by Director Williams, a second by Director Krieger. I will now call for a roll call voice vote. Director Williams.
I vote yes.
Director Krieger.
Yes.
Director Delmonico.
Yes.
And Vice President Ronald Savinger is absent, and myself, yes. The item carries 4 with 1 absent. Next, we have old business, none. New business, item number 10, bid number 20-03, roofing replacement for station 64 and 66. Purpose is for the Board of Directors to review the bids received for bid number 20-03 and review the options presented and provide direction to staff. Deputy Chief Scott Atkinson, please present your report.
Good evening, President Lewis, Directors of the Board. In 2019, it was determined that the roofs at Station 64 and 66 needed to be replaced. Both roofs are the original construction of the fire stations, which were built in the 1990s. During the last rainy season, we had noticed that we had significant roof leaks, and we had to have repairs done to stop those leaks. In October of 2019, our Fleet and Facilities Coordinator, Steve Burns, and 2 local roofing contractors evaluated both roofs and recommended full replacement at both facilities. Quickly here, I'll give you an overview of each one of the roofs at the stations. So Station 64, the roof is 5,850 square feet. It's a gable-style concrete roof. You would relate this to more residential style type roof. And the suggested work there would be to remove and reinstall the tiles, replace all the damaged sheathing if necessary, install new felt, and repair flashing, clean the roof as well, haul away all the debris, and any other related work that might be needed. Station 6 would be, it's an 8,300 square foot flat asphalt rock roof, similar to what you would see at a commercial construction. The suggested work there is the demo and removal of the old roof, replacing of the damaged sheeting if necessary, installing a new solid membrane, repairing and installing the flashing, also installing 7 new skylights, haul away the debris, and any other related work. During the first quarter of the year, Support Services developed a project manual and scope of work required for this project. We did issue a notice inviting bids for all services and materials, and a notice bid was published in the local newspaper for circulation, as well as it was hosted on our website. On September 28, 2020, bid 2003, roofing replacement projects for both stations, the bid was opened up, and then the deadline for submitting the sealed bids was closed on October 15, 2020 at 2 p.m. We received a total of 5 sealed bids, and they're listed in the staff report that was given to you. In an effort to streamline the process, the roof replacement projects were consolidated into one bid. The current 2021 budget allocated $35,000 for Station 64 and $85,000 for Station 66 for a total of $120,000. In late 2019, to give you some background now of how we reached that number of the 120, staff received several estimates from each of the contractors for the stations, and that's the figure that we used to put into the budget. Since that time, staff has seen a significant increase in costs. We've seen 35% increase in roofing materials, roughly a 20% increase in construction costs, and a 12% increase in oil-based products. Also at the job walk, it was determined that all 7 skylights needed to be replaced at Station 66. So these skylights were added to the scope of work known as Addendum 1 to the project manual. So with this, we have 2 options for the Board of Directors. Option number 1 would be to reject all bids of 2003 and rebid the project with changes to the current project manual. So what I would make some changes there right now, both bids, or the lowest bid for the entire project is based on both stations, a combined total of both. If we were to rewrite the project manual, if that's what the board decided us to do, to go back out to bid, we would separate those bids and potentially have 2 different vendors for each one of those stations, and those would be individually bidded in the new bid. The risk, obviously, of sending anything back out to bid is that there could be an increase in future project costs. We have seen this in the past. We saw this with our Station 66 remodel. It did go out for a rebid after the board rejected it, and we did see an increase there. So that would be the risk if we do go ahead and reject all the bids. Right now, there's about a $54,000 increase in cost from what was originally projected as far as the $120,000 to the cost today based on the sealed bids that we received. Option 2, per our board policies, award the bid to the lowest responsible bidder. Staff reviewed all the contract or all the bids and contacted the references that were provided by the lowest responsible bidder, which is Letnar Roofing of Orange, California. This option also requires a budget amendment of the board of directors for additional funds, and we also are going to be requesting the establishment of a 10% contingency fund. Staff would request that the board of directors approve also resolution number 2020-15 for the total additional funding of $72,115. These funds will be provided from the unassigned fund balance. I've also attached a spreadsheet to you. That's attachment A, and that represents it represents the total budgetary authority required to complete the project based on the bids that we did receive. For this option, staff would also request that the board of directors allow the fire chief to execute all project-related contracts. So after careful review, myself and the Fleet and Facilities Coordinator, we are going to currently recommend to the board to take option 1, to reject all bids, and we'll rebid this project. So with that, I'll read the recommendation. It is recommended that the board of directors reject all bids and authorize the district staff to rebid the project. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone present wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, clerk of the board, do we have any additional requests to speak?
We have no request to speak on this item.
Thank you. This is time for the board to comment. Please ask your questions and make your remarks when I call your name. Director Williams.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, could you walk me through that just a little bit in regards to why we want to reject these bids and go for new bids again?
Sure. So, good question. As far as what had actually occurred is we went out to discover that the 2 roofs needed to be replaced. We called out 2 contractors early last year, and we got bids on what the potential cost is to replace both those roofs. That bid for both those roofs at the time came in at about $120,000. Once the project went out to a sealed bid almost a year later, the difference in the cost between the $120,000 and our lowest responsible bidder is about $54,000. On top of that would be another 10% contingency. So that would mean that the board would have to authorize an additional $72,115. Essentially, you have to take that from your savings, the savings of the district, out and apply that to the budget of $120 plus the $72,000 for a total of $192,115. So you have to take money out of savings that we didn't budget for to pay if we wanted to go with option 2. What we saw and we thought through the process is if we combine both roofs, that we would have contractors out there that would, because of the process would be streamlined with the combination, that we would see a better bid based on combining both of them, and we did not see that. So based on talking with contractors, utilizing some experience from our architect, suggestion was to separate those 2 bids now and allow different contractors to bid on each of the projects. They are somewhat different in the type of project that you're going to see. One is more residential and one is more commercial. So the suggestion is that we could possibly see a lower, better sealed bid, a cheaper sealed bid if we were to go out and rebid it. The hazard or the issue with that is that we could send this out again for rebid, and then we could see an increase in cost regardless of the fact that we're separating the bids. Option 1 would be that we reject the bids and then we'll start over. Option 2 would be that we would pull that money out of savings and we would essentially, the board would approve to pay for replacing the roofs with the increased cost.
And the recommendation is to start over.
Correct. I recommend that we rebid the project and with some changes to the project manual, which would include separating the 2 jobs as their own entities, and then we could have separate contractors if we chose. If you were to take the current bids that we have, right now we have to take both bids, go together as one, and then it's the lowest responsible bidder is based on the total of both bids. If I was to separate it in this process, it would be lower, but right now I cannot do that because the way that we have the project manual structured.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Okay.
Hey, Director Krieger.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see it split out there on 2 totally different kinds of projects, and make sure that the manual's updated with skylights at 66. And but I like to see it separate, so I'm in favor of option 1.
Okay. Director Delmonico.
Yeah, I just have one concern. We're getting into the rainy season, but I believe we've taken that into consideration that I agree with separating this because of 2 reasons, not only the monetary savings, but the fact that they're both 2 different roofs and 2 different types of roofs. So I'm going to support staff's recommendation.
If I could comment on that, President. The work that we did last year during the rainy season to repair the roofs will be sufficient to get us through this year. We're just seeing that, essentially your tire is starting to look a little wear and tear on it, and you need to replace it. So we know that it's coming. We need to take it on, but there is no danger of not fixing them right at this moment.
Okay, very good. And yeah, I would agree too. I know we had some discussion about this in finance, and I appreciate your recommendation. I would support that as well. When you look at the bids, it does seem like we have an opportunity to lower, if you will, the total overall expense to the district if we do that. So At this time, I will request a motion. Please state your name before you make your motion.
Mike Krieger, I move that we go with option 1 and reject the bids.
John DeMonico, second.
All right, I have a motion by Director Krieger, a second by Director DeMonico to accept option number 1. I will now call for a roll call voice vote. Director Williams.
I would vote yes.
Director Krieger.
Yes.
Director DeMonico.
Yes.
And myself, Harvey Luke, yes. Item carries 401 with 1 absent. Next, we have item number 11, finding regarding exception to competitive bidding requirements. First is for the Board of Directors to review and approve a finding regarding an exception to competitive bidding requirements under the district's purchasing policy. Finance Director Steve Heide, please present your report.
President Luth, members of the board, good evening again. As you're aware, the district approved the order and purchase of 4 Pierce Puck fire engine replacements last fiscal year. Those will be arriving in district this year, and staff has compiled the list of associated loose equipment for those new engines, and we anticipate the engines being here within the next month to 6 weeks. The total budget for the associated loose equipment for those 4 engines is $111,500 in the current budget, and staff estimates that the total costs associated with the loose equipment will be within budget, but substantially higher than the current $25,000 threshold, which requires competitive sealed bidding under our policy. However, the purchasing policy does provide exceptions to competitive bidding requirements, one of which includes in subsection 7 of the policy, when the fire board finds that adherence to the procedures in the policy would be insufficient, impractical, and unnecessary. Staff believes that conducting a sealed bid procurement process in this case would meet that standard of impractical and potentially result in higher costs due to the complexity of the order. Chief Atkinson can certainly speak to the specifics of the operational requirements and the specific procurement, but the order does encompass over 400 different pieces of specialized equipment, and many of those items are specific to our operation and to the pucks, and that the district believes that we can save approximately 25% by purchasing the loose equipment from one established vendor that obviously would not be then under a sealed bid process. So in accordance with the exception in the policy, the board would have to issue a formal finding that adherence to the sealed bid requirements of the purchase of loose equipment would be impractical and unnecessary at this time. This was also reviewed by Finance Committee and recommended for consideration for the full board. So with that, I'll read the recommendation. It's recommended that the board review and approve a finding specifying an exception to the competitive bidding requirements of the district's purchasing policy as impractical and unnecessary under the circumstances for the purchase of loose equipment for 4 Pierce Puck replacement engines, provided that such purchases are in aggregate within the board-approved 2021 original budget. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak on this item? Madam Clerk of the Board, do we have any requests to speak?
We have no request to speak on this item.
Thank you. This is time for the board to comment. Please ask.
The only thing that I'd like to say, having been a firefighter, now, if we're bidding on a lot. In other words, everything that takes care of that particular engine, is that correct?
Yes, I can answer that question for you. So the difficulty that's involved in this type of equipment purchases is times 4.
Is what?
It's times 4. We're purchasing all equipment for one engine 4 times. So the cost because of that is grown pretty significantly. we are talking about over 100 different pieces of equipment on the engine, and then when you times that by 4, it's about 400 different individual pieces that we would take delivery on. Many of the vendors offer different items. For instance, we use the Crossfire monitor package for our engine, but also Elkhart makes the same style. These are the monitors that go up and spray the large amount of water. The difficulty that we have involved is that we are specific, all our equipment across the district works off of Crossfire. Elkhart and Crossfire do not connect together. So if we were to start to go out to different vendors for different costs, you're going to start to see some vendors only sell Elkhart, others sell Crossfire. We've had a relationship with this vendor, Ellen Curtis, over many years, and all our past purchases for the different equipment engines that we've had in the past have been through Ellen Curtis. So we have a relationship with them. They also can reduce the cost by about 25% by adding everything together. The difficulty that was involved here was that through our purchasing policy that we have is that we would have to go out to a sealed bid, which would make this just really not very, it would be very hard to manage a bid of so much complexity with 100 different pieces of equipment, taking over 400 different pieces that we would have to receive. So that was the reason we are asking today to have a variance from that we can allow one vendor to, that we already have a relationship to be able to purchase these items through.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. It makes sense to do it like that and get it done. Absolutely. So thank you.
Thank you. Director Krieger.
No questions, thank you.
All right, Director Monaco.
Yeah, just one comment. This is really straightforward, and I'm really happy that we're able to do this. So with that, I have no questions.
Thank you, and myself, yeah, we again discussed this in finance and idea. It makes sense. It's a lot of things to do. And so at this time, I would like to request a motion. Please state your name before you motion.
I'll make a motion that we agree to purchase the equipment as stated by staff.
All right, do I have a second?
Krieger, I'll second.
All right, I have a motion by Director Williams, a second by Director Krieger. I will now call for a roll call voice vote. Director Williams.
I vote yes.
Director Krieger.
Yes.
Director DeMonico.
Yes.
Myself, Harvey Booth, is a yes. That's 4-0-1, one absent. And that carries. Next, we have item number 12, state mandated compliance reporting. Purpose for the Board of Directors to receive information regarding state mandated compliance reporting related to Senate Bill 1205. Fire Marshal Daniel Barnes, please present.
Good evening again. The fire district is mandated by the Health and Safety Code to inspect certain types of occupancies annually. This includes public and private schools as well as certain residential occupancies. The overall goal of the inspection is to ensure a reasonable degree of fire and life safety at the facility. In September 2018, Senate Bill 1205 was approved, which requires fire agencies to annually report back to its governing body on the compliance of state-mandated inspections. The fire district currently has a total of 195 occupancies that require an annual inspection. All state-mandated fire inspections are assigned to community risk reduction and are performed on a calendar year cycle. As of the date of this report, community risk reduction has completed all initial inspections of the 195 occupancies. It is recommended that the Board of Directors receive and file the information presented.
Thank you. Do you have any requests to speak?
We have no request to speak.
Thank you. This is time for the board to comment. Please ask your questions or make your remarks when I call your name. Director Williams.
Yes, could you just give me a quick rundown of what kind of occupancies are required to be inspected, schools, like nursing homes?
So the Health and Safety Code mandates that we inspect educational facilities, which would be our public schools, so Chino Valley Unified School District sites, as well as any private schools, so local daycares that are in the area, as well as residential occupancies. So the residential occupancies that we would inspect annually would be our hotels, motels, and apartments, and also condominium facilities, so R1 and R2 occupancies.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much.
Director Krieger?
No comments, thank you.
All right, Director DeMonico.
One comment. I'd like to thank Danielle for the detailed report. I read it, and thank you, Danielle. No questions.
All right, thank you. Yes, as always, thank you for doing your department, your diligent work on all of this. I appreciate it. And as was mentioned, this item is presented as a receive and file item. There will be no vote required. Selection of 2021 board officers. Purpose is for the board of directors to nominate and vote for the 2021 board officers for the position of president and vice president. Clerk of the board, Sandra Heaney, please present your report.
President Luce, members of the board, in compliance with section 2010.5 of the Fire District Policy and Procedures, the board shall annually elect a president and vice president in November. The procedure as set forth in the policy and procedures for election of its president and vice president is outlined as follows. The current president shall call and receive nominations from the board members for each office. Each position shall be addressed separately. Board members may not nominate more than one person for a given office until every board member who desires to submit a nomination has an opportunity to nominate a person. The president will close nominations after all nominations are received for an individual position. The president will request a voice vote for each nomination in the order that it was received until a majority vote is reached. A second is not required. If a majority vote is not reached, there is no election for that office. The president will repeat the process for the position of vice president. The election of the president and vice president will be effective on December 1st. It is recommended that the board of directors nominate and elect the 2021 board officers for the position of president and vice president effective December 1st, 2020.
Thank you. Do we have anyone wishing to speak on this item? Clerk of the board, do we have any requests?
We have no request to speak.
Thank you. This is time for the board to comment. If you have any questions, please ask those. Otherwise, I would request a nomination.
I have no comment.
All right.
Well, President Luce, you've done a fabulous job. It's been one of the most unusual years, I think, of being board president, and thank you for your leadership. But with that, I would like to nominate Sarah Ramos Evinger as president.
Okay. Director DeMonico. John, are you there?
Can you hear me? I was muted.
There you go.
Okay. Did I hear that right? That Director Evinger has been nominated for president?
Yes.
Okay. I have no other nominations.
All right, and I as well have no other nominations. So at this time, we have our nomination. Let's see here. There's no further nominations. Nominations are now closed. I will now request a voice vote. A voice vote for a majority vote. Each board member should cast only one yes vote, regardless of the number of nominations. Board members may vote for themselves. When I call your name, please vote for Sarah Ramos Evinger as for president. Director Williams.
Yes.
Director Krieger. Director DeMonico.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Item carries 4-0-1. Now is nominations for the office of vice president for 2021 are open. Please state your name before you present your nomination.
John DeMonico, and I would like to nominate Mike Krieger for vice president.
All right. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are now closed for vice president. I will now request a voice vote for a majority vote. Each board member shall cast only one yes vote. Board members may vote for themselves. Let's see here. Please state your vote for Director Krieger for vice president when I call your name. Director Williams.
Yes.
Director Krieger.
Yes.
Director DeMonico.
Yes.
And myself, Harvey Luke, yes. Item carries 4-0-1. Next, we have item number 14, Fire District Policy and Procedures for Board of Directors. Purpose for the Board of Directors review the Fire District Policy and Procedures for Board of Directors. Clerk of the Board, Sandra Heaney, please present your report.
President Luce, members of the board, the purpose of this report is to provide an opportunity for the board of directors to conduct a review of the current policy and procedures for the board of directors. The last update and adoption of the policy and procedures was on December 11th of 2019. The Fire District holds several accreditations that require the board to update their policies within a year of submitting for reaccreditation. Review of the document will also provide an opportunity for the board to address any modifications for remote meeting participation based on the Governor's Order number N2920. In addition, review of the document provides an opportunity for legal counsel to review the policy and procedures to ensure that all statutory references are current. Attached to the staff report is a copy of the current policy and procedures as adopted in 2019. It is recommended that the Board of Directors review the policy and procedures for Board of Directors and provide direction to staff.
All right. Do we have anyone present wishing to speak? Clerk of the Board, do we have any requests to speak?
No request to speak.
Okay, this is time for the board to comment. Please ask your questions or make your remarks when I call your name. Director Williams.
I do have some questions. So we're going to look at the board policy and make any recommendations for change. Is that what this is about?
Yeah, it's time to review them again. Each director would have opportunity to submit items that they would like considered, and then at some point it would come back to the full board for approval.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Okay, Director Creed.
Who are we submitting this to? Are we going to create an ad hoc for this?
Yes, that would be my suggestion.
I think that would be we've done that in the past. I think that'd be a good way to go with that. I believe you and Sarah did that last time. I'm not sure what your interest is, but I wouldn't mind seeing maybe you and John do it this time, if John's willing, or I don't know if Sarah was so interested. That's just my thoughts, is creating the ad hoc. That way we can all submit to you guys to go over it first.
Okay. Thank you. Director Delmonico.
Yes, I think it's a good idea to set an ad hoc. However, I think that you and Sarah would do a better job than I would. And I'm just being honest with that. I think you guys did a great job last time, and I'd like to see that again. But I'd like to make one comment, because during this past year with this COVID, things have changed a lot in the way things are delivered for board members, for councils, and those types of things, because conferences aren't there anymore. And a lot of agencies, such as CSDA, FDAC, our attorneys, Leeper and Cassidy or BB&K, have gone to providing a lot of webinars. And the webinars are great educational forums for us, to where we can get the information that we're not able to get because we don't have those conferences. And I think that that's something that we really need to address in our board policy now, is to afford our board members to be able to take the training that would make us all be better board members. And, we can oversee it and limit it so that, you can take like 2 webinars a month or something that are appropriate to being a board member. But that, just so for whoever the ad hoc is, I would like to put my 2 cents worth in to really take a look at that so we can address that. And I'd love to give you more input later on when the ad hoc is formed.
Great. All right. Thank you.
I got a comment in regards to what John said. I think with what John said, that's a good statement. I think John should be involved. I think his ideas are great. I think he should definitely put himself in the agenda there to go ahead and work on that statement that he made.
All right. Well, and I agree. I think an ad hoc, I'm proposed to appoint an ad hoc, and I agree with what Director Delmonico is talking about. The opportunities to get that education and that training and information has become somewhat limited, and so including that in our policy review would be good. I do think Director Delmonico would have every opportunity to submit his suggestions, and as all board members would have to the ad hoc. And so I would encourage every member to please submit suggestions to the clerk. I've got a few ideas, I'm sure the clerk has some too as well, on some areas we might want to look at. And with that, I would appoint an ad hoc committee that would consist of Sarah Ramos Evinger and myself. With that, unless there's any other comments, we will move on to Fire Chief's comments.
All right, President Luth, members of the board, good evening. Under Board Activities and Public Relations, CBFD participated in the Chino Hills Halloween event at the Community Center on October 30th and the City of Chino Halloween Spectacular event on October 31st. On November 4th, the Fire District hosted the weekly Kiwanis meeting here at the Training Center. President Luth, Deputy Chief Atkinson, several chief officers myself attended the event. Under organizational items of interest, I'm going to give you just a very brief rundown of the Blue Ridge Fire. October 26th of this year, Southern California experienced a strong offshore wind event with low humidity that created some extreme fire weather conditions. During the morning hours, CVFD crews responded to a large number of wind-related incidents involving wires down, trees into structures, and some fires. Around 10 a.m., we began the process of calling back some additional off-duty personnel to staff reserve equipment due to the significant increase in our call volume. Around 1 p.m., we were notified of a fire in the area of Green River Golf Course and the 91 freeway. The first arriving unit reported that the fire was 200 acres in size with a rapid rate of spread and numerous structures were threatened. The fire was named the Blue Ridge Incident. The fire continued rapidly spreading in a westerly direction, but also began burning to the north towards the Chino Hills State Park. Two of our chief officers responded to incident command posts, while others began developing contingency plans, including the staffing of multiple pieces of reserve apparatus. At that same time, our three deputy chiefs were conducting firefighter paramedic chiefs interviews as well. So we were scrambling to do some recalls and move some people around and shuffle some things. This was a very complex incident as it involved 3 counties, multiple fire departments, and multiple law enforcement jurisdictions. At the peak of the incident, there were 1,051 firefighters assigned, 210 engine companies, 7 water tenders, 9 hand crews, 14 dozers, 3 helicopters, 9 fixed-wing aircraft consisting of 1 very large air tanker, 6 large air tankers, 1 lead plane, and 1 air attack. In total, the incident burned 13,964 acres. 7 structures were damaged. 1 structure was destroyed. The incident cost in excess of $13 million for fire suppression and repair. Fortunately, an FMAG, which is a Fire Management Assistance Grant, was approved, and that covers 75% of those costs. I'm very pleased to report that no structures were damaged or destroyed in Chino Hills. I want to thank all the partner agencies for their efforts on this incident. I was especially pleased with the overwhelming response from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department in Chino Hills. Law enforcement personnel that were part of the incident were tasked with a very challenging job with evacuations and traffic control, and they did an outstanding job. I also want to commend our personnel for their outstanding efforts. This was truly a team effort involving not just our suppression personnel, but personnel from all areas of our organization really stepped up and helped out with this event. To the best of my knowledge, we've never staffed that many units. We basically doubled our staffing on the suppression side for about a week with the efforts with that. Next month, we'll present a little more detailed of a report to the board on this incident, and we're working through the cost apportionment process, so we should have a little more detail on what the costs are back directly to the fire district. And just finally, I want to thank our community for their outstanding support with this fire, both during the fire and after. Today, Papa Chino's hosted an event for the firefighters and law enforcement, and it was an incredible event. We had a number of our personnel that attended and received breakfast and a lot of praise from our community. So we do really appreciate the support of our community, and again, we're very pleased with the outcome, and we'll have some more details for the board next month on that incident. And I'd like to ask our HR director to provide a recruitment update. Christy.
Good evening. We're in the final stages of evaluating our firefighter paramedic candidates, and I should have a more detailed update at the December meeting. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Big tease.
And I have a brief update on the Fire Station 68 negotiations. Legal counsel for the city has been working with district legal counsel on a more robust property transfer agreement that includes grant deeds and escrow instructions for the transfer of the respective parcels by the parties. The city and the district are seeking to clarify the legal description and bounds of the property to be transferred for the purposes of a title report and to ensure the land is free and clear for transfer. Once that component is in place, we will bring the agreement to the board in open session in line with the terms outlined in the non-binding letter of intent approved by the parties. Under upcoming events, our administration office will be closed on Thursday, November 26th and Friday, November 27th in observance of Thanksgiving. Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for November 30th at 8 a.m. City of Chino tree lighting ceremony is scheduled for December 1st at 6 p.m. at City Hall. The annual senior delivery event will take place in Chino on December 4th at 11 a.m. and in Chino Hills on December 10th at 12 p.m. And those are going to be modified this year due to COVID. City of Chino Hills will be hosting a drive-through holiday light display event at McCoy Equestrian Center and Recreation Center on December 5th, 12th, 19th, and 20th. And reservations must be made with the City of Chino Hills website. And finally, the Make a Child Smile event is scheduled for December 15th at 8 p.m. And that is I believe that's 8 a.m. I'm sorry, is a modified event as well. And that concludes my comments for this evening.
Thank you. This is time for the board, for board comments. Director Williams.
Thank you very much. Chief, in regards to your presentation there, will you be talking about that, I'm going to call it the insurance policy, that, what is it, $150,000 a year that the state wants to cover the Chino Hills State Park if there's a fire there?
So I believe you're referring to our contract with CAL FIRE, and there's actually a couple of components. There's a portion that the city's been City of Chino Hills has been responsible for, and that portion is approximately $150,000. In totality, the contract was in excess of about $400,000, and that's where some other areas beyond the state park is. But there will be some reference to that. A portion of the area contracted did burn, but a large portion of the fire that was actually in Chino Hills was outside that contract, but we will have some more detail on that.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to belabor it right now. I would like to get involved and get, when I say get involved, get information on that, detailed information when we talk about it. So thank you very much. That'll be next meeting?
Yes.
That'll be December, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great, thank you. And I again want to thank all the firefighters for their great job on fighting that fire. And I'm glad there was no structures, so that makes for good holidays for the people that do have homes in the area and all the rest of us. And I hope everybody does have a good Thanksgiving under these circumstances. They're really scary times. Myself, if I had the opportunity, I'd be the first one in line for that vaccination, and but I'm hoping that that's going to pull us through and that everything's going to get back to normal. Well, hopefully soon, and I think everybody's hoping for that, and I hope that our firefighters are safe and the ones that have contacted it are pulling through okay and everything. So, we're constantly thinking about them, and I hope everybody is safe. Try and stay safe a little while longer. I think we'll make it. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Krieger.
I as well want to thank the district for the excellent work. My neighborhood was one that was evacuated, and the fire came within a couple hundred yards. It was the backfire that they lit, and when I was asking the chief about it, he said, "Do you see flames?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, what difference does it make if it's a backfire or the fire coming at you, That was a wonderful quote that my wife still likes to use against me on that. But thank you all very much, especially the chief officers who worked upwards of 40 hours straight for that. So excellent job. I'd like to thank the City of Chino Hills, the rest of the council, and Ben Montgomery for working with us for 68. I really think that it just shows the cooperation that you have between two entities and how they can work well together. So thank you for that. I attended virtually Chino Council meetings and school board meetings, and I want to say congratulations to our new members of the Chino City Council, as well as a new member for the School District Board, and congratulations to my fellow directors here, Sarah, John, and Harvey, for getting reelected again. Happy Thanksgiving to all. And one last thing is, City of Chino Hills is having COVID tests, and I understand it's going to become a weekly thing at McCoy Equestrian Center, Art.
That's what we're working on, yes.
So I went today and had mine done. I don't have any symptoms, but felt it was best before Thanksgiving to make sure that myself and the rest of my family were safe before we saw other people. So I urge everybody to get tested. That's it for me. Thank you.
All right. Director DeMonico.
Yes, I'd like to congratulate Steve and Daniel for their awards tonight. Guys, you're great. We're going to keep you for a lot more years than what you put in already. So with that being said, I did attend the Chino Hills Council meeting, and a couple of comments. The Blue Ridge Fire, thank God we don't have those all the time, but I think everybody did an incredible job. I want to thank you and congratulate you for the success we had with that. It could have been really detrimental to our community, but we were able to keep that from happening. This happened before in 08. It happened again now. Hopefully we won't see anything like that ever again, at least in my lifetime. But thank you everybody, staff, guys, firefighters, City of Chino Hills. Everybody worked well together, and I'm just so proud of this organization. So thank you. And also Fire Station 68. I am so happy we're moving forward with that. This has been something that's been on my personal agenda for a long time, so I'm not going to make any more comments on that other than say that I'm really happy. And I'd also like to say something in regards to the election. It's very, very humbling, and received a lot of support. And I'd really like to thank the voters of the Chino Valley for the confidence that they placed in me by re-electing me to another term. I am proud to have served on this board, and I pledge to continue serving our residents in the best manner possible. I want to thank you for your support, and I will not let you down. And with that being said, I'd like to wish everybody to please have a very safe and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
All right. And my comments I remotely attended several Chino Council meetings, the San Bernardino Airport Commission, Finance and Agenda meeting, attended the Chino Hills meeting, the recent one here, and today I attended the IEUA meeting. Always very informative. Those meetings, the information, the issues they deal with are so different than what we're dealing with. And at the end, it was a little emotional as they've got one of their members who's leaving that board. Let's see here. It's mentioned on the first is the Chino Hills tree lighting. Let's see here. Yeah, I also want to thank, obviously, the district, everybody in the district, all the agencies that supported and helped with the Blue Ridge Fire. Also want to thank Chino Hills, the Public Works, the PD, any other agencies that I'm not aware of. There was so many agencies and so much help that got involved in that, and it just was a tremendous effort. And also thank you to the public. It had to be very concerning and definitely difficult if you had to evacuate and you're worried about your home. And but thank you to those who responded and to all the support that was given to those who were out there fighting that terrible fire. So again, thank you to everyone. Let's see here. I think wanted to recognize our service award winners again, as was already mentioned. Good job, and yeah, we look forward to a lot more years of their dedicated service. And I too want to thank the voters. It was very, as John said, it's very humbling to run a campaign and to get that support from the public. So thank you very much. I will do my best to represent you well, to look after the best interests of this district. I appreciate the year of being president. I think I've learned a lot. I hope I've grown and matured in some ways doing that, and So again, I look forward very much to continuing to serve on this board. Do want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Please be safe, be smart out there, enjoy, but be safe. And with that, the meeting will be adjourned to a regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Chino Valley Independent Fire District to be held on Wednesday, December 9, 2020. That we are adjourned.